We are storytellers. In all that we do, in all our interactions with other people, we're telling a story. To convince, to explain, and to entertain. So today we're going to talk about one of the most powerful tools you have in storytelling. Analogies provide a pattern with which to quickly align a concept or a situation. They provide a foundation to build upon and construct new ideas and plans. We are pattern matching machines. Analogies provide a pattern to which to align our thinking. We're also difference detection engines, and analogies can provide a baseline from which to compare and contrast. This can lead to faster, better discussions and problem solving. But a bad analogy can cause an anchor point bias on the topic and limit the exploration of the topic. So you have to be careful for the analogies that you're using. Let's talk about some of the dangers of analogies. We can oversubscribe to an analogy. No analogy is a perfect match to the thing that we're using it to compare to, but we can fall into the trap of trying to force the analogy to be a perfect fit. Certainly, I've been guilty of doing this. For something that I've personally oversubscribed to, pile of sand is a metaphor that I've been using to talk about the way we do production. The implication being that you work by aiming your effort at the center of a pile and then allow the settling and shifting of tasks to naturally form the project over time without over planning, without spending too much effort on the process. I will do a video on pile of sand or something like it in the future, but definitely I believe it carries a lot of weight, but it does also require a fair amount of explanation. So it is somewhat flawed as an analogy because it can be difficult for people to fully grasp the potential of it as an analogy. And something that requires an hour-long explanation of isn't necessarily the best analogy. You want something that's easy to pick up, easy to grasp, easy to communicate, that doesn't carry a lot of internal hidden knowledge with its understanding. Definitely pile of sand is an analogy that I have personally oversubscribed to. I feel like it fits maybe a little too well, and as a result, it's very easy for me to try to force it to apply and have insights about all things to do with game development. I will go into possibly excruciating detail about pile of sand as an analogy and its strengths and weaknesses at a later date. Analogies can, over time, gain their own meaning and start to drift away from their original meaning. Given enough drift, you get yourself into a Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra situation, where the analogy carries meaning to the team, but has lost its ability to communicate more broadly. Also, it's worth being aware that different analogies carry different meanings for different groups. As a result, an analogy that you've used very successfully with one group can actually have no effect or even backfire when you use it with a different group. So what makes a good analogy? It should be something that can be quickly explained, that aligns with your concept fairly well. It shouldn't carry emotional baggage that's inappropriate to the topic at hand, either overly positive or overly negative. If you think about using piling sand as an analogy versus piling manure, those carry different connotations, and depending on your situation, you might want one or the other. If you're choosing between different analogies, you should actually choose one that is emotionally appropriate and simple over something that is perfectly accurate. If you have to give up accuracy in order to avoid those other pitfalls, that is worth doing. For example, triage is a term commonly used for the process of maintaining, prioritizing, and cleaning your bug list. This is actually a very good analogy. It's accurate to the process, and it implies the right things from an emotional perspective. That it's a quick process, that it's about deciding what needs treatment, what is going to be done immediately, and what is going to be allowed to stay. Conversely, let's look at the term postmortem. The term postmortem is a term often used for retrospectives. This carries that emotional baggage I've talked about. Postmortem is something you do after something has died. So it implies a certain thing about the situation that you're in. So as a result, that emotional baggage can actually overwhelm the usefulness of that analogy. So, in summary, use analogies. They do help people understand things and help get you to alignment more quickly. But make sure you don't oversubscribe to an analogy. And pick analogies that are clear and simple, but relatively accurate. Thank you, as always. If you enjoyed this, like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification. And I will see you again tomorrow.